Happy lunchtime.
Hello.
Hi, how is everyone? So we are back for round 2 because we were chit-chatting so much on Wednesday that we thought that we would do a second one.
Yeah.
Because, yoga's a lifetime worth of study. It's not just a 20-minute video chat.
No. We did 2.5 years of studying just in school, so 20 minutes not enough.
So we thought we would talk a little bit more. So we were just discussing, because I think where we finished off last time was we were really talking about yoga being more than a physical practice. And if anyone studied yoga, you may know of Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga, which is about yoga being a whole thing. So the 8 limbs, only one of those is asana, which is the physical yoga practice. There are 3 parts of that dedicated to meditation. There are the yamas and niyamas that are about the kind of ways of living, the ways of being and operating, a little bit like the 10 Commandments, but a bit nicer. So there's so much to yoga that we just don't even discover when we do a 1-hour physical class. So we just wanted to expand more on that. Mm-hmm. So actually one of the first things we were just discussing that we'd like to talk about is the chakras that sit here behind us.
Oh yeah, we got them behind. We got them behind. You can't see them all.
Hang on, we can do that. Let's have a quick pan up. So Nikki, who uses the studio here, painted these.
Yeah.
And I trained with Nikki as a yoga teacher actually. So let's just talk a little bit about that. So there are 7 main chakras that we see here. Mm-hmm. However, interestingly, I work with a system called Human Design, and for that we actually talk about the 9 chakra system at the moment, and then in 2027 humans moving into 11 chakra beings. So that's a whole big conversation. But let's just talk about the 7 that we know and love that come from the ancient philosophy of yoga.
What I was going to say today about the chakras, it's not everyone knows energy centers in the body. Animals got them as well.
Yeah.
So and when they block,
Earth has them, right?
Earth have them as well.
Everything.
Earth, Earth have the chakras. So they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Just make me think, if the plants have them, they might have some.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
That's good.
It's great. It's like, I've got to hear. Okay, so what's happening, I'm not going to go much to details about the chakras because it's a big topic, but what I'm going to say, it's in the yoga practice, chakras are unblocked. When you have blockage, because energy flows naturally because the chakras are in the line with the spine, aren't they? So they are on the bottom chakra, so it's in the between where the tailbone is, and it's the last one is on the crown of the head. So there's 7. So one is here on third eye, throat, heart is solar plexus. Then you got sacral, and then the root chakra. Yeah. So all the chakras corresponding to our emotions, and if they are blocked, we don't function in the right way in our life. So each chakra have set of emotions assigned to them, and if the chakras are not how you call it. Synchronized, they not work properly. So you have emotional issues. So you could have blocked emotions, you don't even know about them. But like, let's say, I'm going to give the example about the throat chakra. Lots of people have a blocked throat chakra, and they have trouble to speak, like speak out. It was talking about emotions, and in yoga practice, we moving energy. This is very important because it's through physical body, we're moving energy inside the body, and we can unblock them. So by flexing the body backwards and forwards, we actually energizing the energy centers.
We're activating them.
Yeah, we're activating the energy.
I think some people talk about that you can't necessarily block chakras, but that's just the terminology that we use.
It's just terminology.
Yeah, it's more about the energy.
It's a stagnant energy.
Yeah, the energy is not flowing properly.
It's not flowing properly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it could be anything. Could be some traumatic past in the life happens, and then we just shutting this. We don't know that. We just have issues with certain, feelings, emotions to show to people, or even to acknowledge with ourselves. And this is creating the problems. And then there's the health problems starting. If the energy is not flowing enough for a long time, then it's starting to have a disease in the body. And yoga also make this flow improve. And I realize, I don't know if you realize that, when I go to school and everyone said the age, most of the people, I mean not most, everyone in the school looks about average 10 years younger than they did than the age. There was a minimum 10 years. There some people looks 20 years younger, which was absolutely like wow. So yoga, because the energy flows nicely, it makes you look younger as well. So it's really
a nice bonus.
It is very nice bonus. It's very nice bonus. So yeah, so that's the main thing. And also in yoga practice, what's important, yoga is beautiful because you have certain postures that can calm down the body mind, and you have the postures that can energize you and give you more energy. So it depends how you're going to work and what you're going to do in the class. The impact could be energizing, like more energy for the flow, or more calming energy. If someone is overactive mind, like overstressed, we can work in a way that we're going to calm down that. So it's more peacefulness instead of more like stress and jitteriness in the life. So that's the beauty about yoga, that we can, as teachers, we can direct energy if we want to.
I think this is the reason that I have stopped planning my classes, because I know that if I pre-plan the classes, I'm creating something based on what I think the group wants or needs.
Yeah.
But if I connect with people energetically when they come in the room, I'm much more likely to deliver them something that they actually need. Because I could plan a whole, if we just talk from a physical perspective, I could plan a whole class based on, I don't know, let's say hip work. And then someone could come in and be like, oh, my hip's playing up today, and actually, I can't do anything that I've planned because it's not going to work for this person. I'm going to spend the whole time trying to adapt my class for this person, and that takes from all the other people that are trying to do the thing.
Yeah.
So if I understand people when they come into the class, how are you feeling today? How are your bodies feeling? Do you want something high energy? Do you want something low energy? What's going on from the weather outside? Like, is it a stressful time of year? Is it, what's going on? Then I can work with that and work with the people that I've got in front of me, rather than trying to be kind of rigid and planned with everything, because yoga is a tool for life. It's a life skill. It's not something that we need to plan. It's not a classroom session. It's not a curriculum. It's not something that you need to pass. It is just a fluid thing, like humanity, like living is very fluid, and yoga is very much to accompany that fluidity of life.
Yeah, and also I had the same, because I many times I plan the class and I just like all my plans go through the window. It's just like, because something happened, and then you cannot do that. It's just, and also you can realize, like, as we teachers, we have different days as well. Energy flows all the time. The energy changes all the time about everything. Wherever you look, it's changing, and also is. You do certain postures, one day you're doing it beautifully, one day they're not so good. Yeah. And also, like, especially in the balancing postures, you can see. Yeah. If you have something very stressful going on in the life,
if your mind's
you
not balanced,
cannot do the balance.
It's
It's just like well,
Yeah.
And so that's, and body shows straight away.
Yeah. So interestingly, I did balances this morning in my yoga class, and normally we kind of have a giggle when we do Vrksasana in the tree pose, because they get these trees in the wind and then sometimes they get timber and they fall over. But today, the whole class, all of us, just stood beautifully. So energetically, we were all feeling pretty good today.
Yeah.
But it changes day to day. Even for me as an instructor, you're not going to get this kind of picture perfect, beautiful pose from me every day because I'm a human, and you know some days I can do it and some I can't.
And also, I realized that mental state is influencing the postures amazingly because depends what's going on, what you're thinking, what's happening in your life, like mentally, like you're fine, but then something happens, but it's not very stressful, but something changed, and then you go into class and your body responding totally different. It's like mirror. Your day is like mirror in yoga class. So it's not really important how good you're doing the postures. If it's not important, all, no. It's not, because one day you can do it really well and one day you don't. And I remember I have like years ago a little bit stressful period because my mom was ill, and I noticed my hip was really playing up for a long time. And I know it was connected to that. And
that's where you store your emotions in your hips, right?
Yeah.
You store stress in your shoulders and emotions in your hips.
And my left hip was really dodgy for about
And then left is the feminine
8 months.
side.
Yeah. I didn't have any pain, but I couldn't sit in the cross leg. It was like, how can I not sit in cross leg? This is just normal, easy things, you know. Left hip was playing up. But it's just practicing and releasing the stress. It just adjusts itself.
Yeah.
And the beauty about yoga is just resetting. I always said it's resetting. I said it, and last time we was talking, it's always resetting back and back. We bring you back to the center, center.
There's the saying that yoga's not about touching your toes, but it's about the journey you take to touch your toes.
Yeah.
And you know what? I couldn't touch my toes for the first 10 years of yoga.
Yeah.
And even now it's not comfortable.
No. But the funny thing is, I don't know if I said it last time, when I was doing my martial arts, you need to be flexible, very, because you can't do the kicks and stuff.
Yeah.
And then in the martial arts, they're forcing your knees down. It was awful. It was so painful. And you know,
gymnastics as well.
Yeah, and I never been so flexible like I am now than I was then, because then I was fighting against my body, and in yoga you have to listen and cooperate with your body, which is beautiful. You just don't force anything in yoga, and you know it's nice because you see changes, massive changes with subtle movements. That's what yoga is about. That's what I like the most. Because you think you don't do much in yoga classes, but you do on other levels, because you cannot see energy, but yoga is mostly energy.
Based,
You don't really realizing how much work you've done for your body, and then after months or 2 or 3 months, you just realize, oh my gosh, I can do this, and that's beautiful, because you don't force, you just going with your body like flow. Just do it.
Yeah.
And it's easy.
It's easy. It's not some days.
No, not some days. I was shattered after this. I was shattered. But also the stress, it shows when you stress and you're going to this last practice in your class, which is relaxation. If you're going really deep to the relaxation, that shows that you had a lot of stress. That's what I learned during the practice of yoga. That more you stress, the more you're gonna release stress at the end, and you feel your body is just like deflated. Yeah.
I always say that the days when you really don't want to go to class, when you really have to drag yourself in,
you have to do it. You have
get
to drag
the
it.
best out of it. You feel the best afterwards.
Yeah, and I also say always in classes that if you have a posture you hate, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Because your body gonna avoid at any price to do it.
Yeah, it needs.
And this is you're avoiding it because this is your weakness.
That's what you need,
and you have to practice that posture. So I have a few. When I was doing yoga and I was in the teacher training, I have a posture I absolutely detest it, but I knew I have to do it. And then after you go through it, you do it, repeat it. You just start enjoying it because your body's at ease again.
I find, so downward dog is a great example of this for me, because downward dog is actually a resting pose.
It is a resting pose.
But
yeah.
when you first start doing it, God, that's the hardest
It's
one.
It's not. If you say to people, you're just thinking, "Man, you want to?"
Yeah, but there was a tipping point for me, and then one day I was like, "Oh, actually, it is restful."
Yeah.
But it took a long time.
It took a long time.
And I think
yeah.
that when you see, if you Google yoga or you go on Instagram, you see these people with perfectly flat backs and perfectly straight legs and flat heels. Like, that's not even real for most people. That's not
Yeah.
achievable. So what often we find we're trying to achieve what we think a pose should look like rather than what a pose should feel like.
Yeah.
So I always say for downward dog, bend your knees, dangle your head between the shoulders and stick your bum up as high as you can.
Yeah.
But the whole time that you keep those knees bent, you're protecting your back,
yeah.
and it's much more comfortable.
And hamstrings as well, because
Yeah.
you can really damage them if you do it.
Yeah, and
if you
most of
force
us
it.
do have tight hamstrings from just the nature of sitting down all the time,
Yeah.
because that's life now. We
Yeah.
just sit all the time,
Yeah.
don't we?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
even if you're walking a lot, I realized, because when I have my dog is now 3 years old, I started walking the dog because runners have hamstrings.
Yeah, I've got a runner that comes to my class, and every week
They
she's like, "Can we do
tie-
hamstrings?"
Yeah. They have very, very tight hamstrings,
Yeah.
runners, and because I realized that when I start walking dog walks, it's long. It's not my dog is not small. She needs long walks. I realized my hamstrings going tight. I was like, oopsie, this is not great. I need to do more stretches.
But
for
the great thing is it gives you that awareness in your day-to-day life.
Yes.
Because there'll be another dog walker who doesn't know anything
No,
about connecting
they
with their
wouldn't have
body,
a
and they
clue.
wouldn't even notice
No.
that their hamstrings are tight or even know what their hamstrings are.
Yeah.
So you learn this awareness of your body and you do it in your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
For me, I notice in the car, so I find myself probably like most of us just slouching and slouching and slouching in the car, and then we're driving like this.
Yeah.
But then I recognise it and I'm like, okay, sit up. But I don't think I would ever have noticed that before.
You would not. No, you would.
Because I wasn't
you
aware.
would
I
not.
had no awareness of my body before that.
But because they don't teach us that.
No.
They should do it in school.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
A lot of schools are starting to do yoga now, but because it's like well-being is
Yeah.
on their credentials now, isn't it? But it's still a slow burner.
Yeah, but I realize now there's loads of young people getting into the yoga and spirituality, which is beautiful, because they took it a little bit like they took it for fun, but now they're just discovering it is fun,
works.
but it's something really
Yeah.
good. So
And I think whatever the entry point is,
It's good.
for me, remember I told you it was the Wii Fit. So, if there's an entry point, it could, let's not judge the entry point. Let's know that that's
Yeah.
leading to something else.
yeah, that's brilliant.
And I also think the one thing that I find fascinating is it seems to be a very female-dominated industry.
Yes, yes.
But what's really
in Europe,
interesting...
in the West,
In the West, yes.
yes.
But yoga was created by men for men,
Yes.
and women weren't traditionally allowed to practice it.
No.
It's just funny how it's translated over here to the West as this
Yeah.
feminine practice, this thing that kind of housewives do.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I heard a story once, and I don't know how true it is, that actually yoga got brought to the West through the military.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
really.
and apparently it was used to train, I think it was some of the Scandinavian military.
Oh.
They used it to train their men for going into battle, for mindset, for, physical health through their body.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so that's how it supposedly came to the West, was through the military.
Yeah.
So again, how is...
And then the wives took it
And
over.
suddenly the wives took it. Yeah, I don't know. How did it become this feminine practice? So many men will go, "Oh no, that's a woman's thing," or whatever. But actually, and maybe because I'm a male teacher and there aren't many of us, but I gradually getting more and more men join my classes. A lot of them end up being dragged by their wives, but it's
exactly.
great to see that, because
Yeah.
men need it particularly so much, because we're far less aware of our body, I think, than women, because women have a lot that naturally happens with your body, and you have to have awareness of your body to negotiate day-to-day life, and men just ignore all of that, and then they'll go and do golf or football or rugby, and then their bodies are getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and they're getting stiff, and I recently went to a military camp and I taught yoga there, and it was hilarious. I had this group of really buff men that are all, proper military lads.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely hilarious. They couldn't, even just doing the warm-ups, they were going,
It was like
hurts. And But we had a really good time doing it, and they were really receptive and open. And then they went off to, it was a wellbeing day. They went off to, I caught up with them later, and they were having a sound bath, and I was like, "This is brilliant. This is exactly what more men need to be doing."
Yeah, that's
it's massively going to impact the world.
Yeah, but that's still. I think in India, there's most of the teachers are male.
Yes.
There are not many female teachers there.
But it comes from the East, right?
Yeah.
And it's traditionally created by men for men, so that is the norm in the East.
Yeah.
It's just the West that have turned it into this feminine practice. But surely it's for anyone and everyone, right?
Yeah.
Even if you can just breathe, you can do yoga. You don't have to do any stretching.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think, this is changing slowly, very slowly. But I hope we're going to have more men in the classes, because it is good, it's very beneficial.
Yeah, really. I mean, we've got Rahul now as another male
teacher. Rahul is our teacher, it's really good to have another guy teaching yoga.
But, if you're watching this, rope in all the guys that you know, because they need it just as
mates, much. Build it. It's funny because I used to have a plumber coming to the class. Years ago, and he said that all his mates, they're taking mickey of him at work, but he said, "But you can't go on the sink."
Yeah.
Then he had a laugh because they couldn't go in there, and because he was flexible. He was very slim and really tall, and he was flexible because of yoga.
Yeah.
And he said they were sending him to do these horrible jobs they couldn't reach and they couldn't bend, because the only one, it was him to do it. And he said, "You should go make the yoga class, not instead of laughing at me, because it's helping."
I used to have a scaffolder that used to come to yoga with me, and he would sit on something like 6 or 8 blocks just to be able to cross his legs.
Yeah.
And it was really tight through the hips.
Yeah.
And after a while of working with him, he got down to 2 blocks, and I just thought, what an amazing improvement.
It is amazing, yes.
So I think that, we don't even recognise how tight we are and what, until you have to sit cross-legged, or until you have to touch your toes, or, you just don't realise what's going on with your body, do you?
And also, I have a teacher who always said, there's child pose is really, really good for the stress. And I was like, yeah, maybe. Till you don't check it, you don't know. Mm-hmm. And I remember years after, 2, maybe 3 years after, I had really stressful something happened. I don't remember now what was it, but I was so stressed. I'd gone to panic attack. And I thought, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. I'm just losing it. And I just gone on the floor and sit in the child's pose. And I honestly, this is my hand on heart. I get up from the posture and it's like gone.
Nice.
And I was like, this is unbelievable. It was just like, so I always said, if you have stress, you have your child, for children, yoga is amazing. Mm-hmm. So if you have
they just do it naturally. If you watch them, they just do it.
They do naturally, yeah. And but especially if you have a child who's going to attack, screaming, just put them in the child pose, and that's it. They reset it. It's beautiful. It's just like, it's like click on.
Yeah. It is magic.
It is a magic kind of thing. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's subtle, but it's very, 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 very powerful. So.
Right. Well, thank you. That was another great talk about yoga. Yeah. I feel like this needs to become a regular slot because there's so much to talk about.
Yoga, yeah. Okay.
So much.
We can carry on with everything.
Yeah.
We have so much to say about everything.
Yeah.
You do human design as well, which is brilliant.
We'll do some more on that another time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of this stuff you'll find is interconnected actually, because it's all energy based.
Yes. Yeah. I wouldn't be in yoga if I wouldn't do past life regression probably. Because it was like I done past life regression for years. Then I gone to yoga. Then I do the sand bath and sound therapy. And now I'm training to the hypnosis and other.
So I wouldn't be in any of this if it wasn't for yoga. Yeah. Because yoga led me to doing meditation, to doing Reiki, to doing all of this stuff that I do now.
Yeah.
Right? So, everything's an entry point.
Yeah. So just try maybe yoga. Yoga is easy.
Yeah.
And we can teach you more about everything.
It's easy with us because we're kind instructors and we
Yes.
don't put people into pretzel knots and expect them to balance on one finger.
Yeah, and we have good knowledge about the other stuff as well,
Yeah.
which is always helpful in the yoga
Yeah.
classes.
And we're well trained. We went to good yoga
Yes.
schools, really reputable yoga schools.
Yeah.
Not a weekend course.
No, not we can go, not online.
No.
So you put loads of work into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, Monika.
Thank you.
Nice to see you
Nice
all.
to see you all.
Take care.
Enjoy your day.
Bye.
Bye.